Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be going inward, exploring the world of digestive health.
Okay.
And the source you sent over on traditional Bedouin practices,
Yeah.
it's fascinating stuff.
It is. It is. What I think is really fascinating about this is this idea of holistic health that comes through.
Yeah, okay.
This sort of interconnectedness
Mm.
of our mind and body and spirit, particularly when it comes to something like what we consume.
So in terms of the Bedouins then, how do they
Yeah.
approach that whole mind body gut connection?
Yeah. So they have this belief that stress, particularly like, unexpressed emotions or even past traumas,
Mm.
can have a direct impact on how well our digestive system works.
Hmm.
That our gut actually has this almost intuitive intelligence
Right.
that reacts to our emotional state.
Wow.
And they have a saying, actually, that the source points out. They say, the stomach is the house of disease,
Oh.
emphasizing just how crucial our digestive health is.
It's so interesting because we often think about food as fuel, and we don't think about
Right.
the fuel impacting every other system.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not just what we eat, but how we feel when we're eating it.
Right.
And the source actually goes a little bit further and introduces this idea of internal cleanliness,
Yeah.
which the Bedouins take very
What
seriously.
does that mean? Internal cleanliness.
Yeah, so it's kind of like hitting the reset button on your gut.
Okay.
And traditionally, they would have used cleansing solutions and fasting
Ah,
to sort of achieve this internal cleanliness.
interesting.
It's like giving your gut a good spring clean. And in a way, they were addressing this idea of the microscopic world inside of us.
Right.
The bacteria, the parasites, the balance of that whole internal terrain, long before we had the science to understand it.
Right.
So,
It's amazing they were ahead of their time.
they really were.
Yeah.
But what happens when we don't pay attention to this?
Yeah.
Most of us, we don't live like the Bedouins. So what happens when we don't prioritize this internal environment?
Right. Is it really that important?
Well, the source paints a pretty vivid picture of when things get out of whack in there.
Okay.
You know, Imagine you've got this overgrowth of bad bacteria
Right.
or lack of the beneficial enzymes that we need.
Yeah.
That's an imbalanced internal environment. And the source links that to a whole slew of diseases throughout the body,
Wow.
from, the obvious digestive issues to chronic inflammation.
Right.
It can be really far-reaching.
So ignoring our gut health could have these huge consequences.
It's definitely a possibility. And what's contributing to this imbalance, according to the source, is a combination of things.
Okay.
It's our diet, our stress levels, even environmental toxins that we're exposed to.
Yeah, it's like everything.
Sounds like our modern lifestyle
Yeah.
is working against us on this really fundamental level.
I'm starting to feel a little bit guilty about the extra large coffee I had this morning.
Right.
So where do we even begin then to get back on track with all of this?
Well, the source actually gets pretty specific and gives us a list of forbidden foods.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that it claims are contributing to this sort of detrimental internal environment.
Okay.
Things like highly processed foods,
Okay.
foods that are laden with pesticides, hormones, anything made with hydrogenated oils.
Yeah, all right.
Basically all the convenient options that we have today.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that lines our grocery store shelves.
Exactly, exactly.
But okay, so let's say we cut out those foods.
Right.
What about how we eat?
Yeah,
Does the source talk about that at all?
absolutely. It stresses the power of chewing your food.
Okay.
And not just like a quick bite or two, but like really thoroughly chewing your food.
I mean, I'm guilty of scarfing down my lunch when I'm,
Yeah?
busy at work. So what's the big deal about chewing? Why is it so important?
So think of it this way. When we chew properly, our teeth, they act like these tiny little mortars and pestles,
Okay.
grinding our food into this fine paste
Right.
that's much easier for our bodies to digest.
Oh.
And this thorough breakdown allows our system to extract all the good stuff, all those nutrients.
Gotcha.
The source even suggests that each molar is linked to a different organ.
What?
And so chewing actually stimulates those organs, helps them to function optimally.
It's like a little massage for your organs with every bite.
Exactly, like a mini massage.
I love that. I've never thought about it like that.
It's pretty cool.
So chewing is a win-win. Better digestion, healthier organs. What happens when we rush, though?
Imagine you're having to sprint to a destination instead of enjoying a leisurely walk.
Okay.
You might get to the same place,
Right.
but one method's a lot more taxing on your body.
Right.
Rushing through meals, it's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
You're forcing your digestive system to work overtime.
Makes sense.
and you might miss out on some of those key nutrients in the process.
Okay, you've officially made me a believer in mindful chewing.
Good.
What else? What else does this source highlight? This is already blowing my mind.
Yeah, ready for this one.
Okay.
The source strongly advises against drinking cold water while eating.
Really? See, I've heard that, but I've never understood why. It just
Uh-huh.
seems like, the most natural thing.
I know, right? You're
Right.
thirsty, you have a meal,
Exactly.
you have some water.
Yeah.
But the source makes a really interesting point about our internal temperature.
Okay.
And it argues that for optimal digestion, our body needs to maintain a consistent internal temperature.
Okay.
It's like if you think about throwing ice water on a fire that's trying to burn,
Right.
it disrupts the process, right?
Yeah.
Drinking cold water, especially when we're having something warm,
Yeah.
it's kind of having that same effect on our digestive system.
Huh. Okay. So, no cold drinks. Chew your food.
It's a good start.
What other, fascinating insights does this source offer? So there's all these fascinating insights.
Yeah.
What else does this source tell us about how to sort of approach?
Well, it also gets into this idea of food combining,
Okay.
suggesting that, when we mix certain types of foods together,
Right.
it can be kind of like trying to run a marathon
Yeah.
while juggling at the same time.
Right.
Like your body might be able to handle it,
Okay.
but it's far from ideal.
So I shouldn't be just piling everything on my plate at once then.
Well, the source advocates for a little bit more of a sequential approach.
Okay.
So starting with foods that are easily digestible, starting with warm foods
Okay.
to give your stomach a head start,
Yeah.
and then moving on to kind of those heavier items.
So it's like creating a smoother
Exactly.
flow for our system.
A more strategic flow.
I can get behind that. Okay, I have to ask then, what kind of a diet does this source recommend?
Well, get ready, because it's a bit of a trendsetter these days.
Okay.
The source is a big advocate for a low-carb approach
Okay.
for restoring digestive health.
That makes sense because we were talking about,
Yeah.
processed foods and sugary drinks and
Right, all those things.
refined grains. Those are all high carb.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so by minimizing those processed carbs, focusing on whole foods,
Mhm.
it suggests that we can start to kind of create this more balanced internal environment. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
It doesn't just stop at, dietary restrictions.
Right.
It also delves into the power of supplements and natural remedies.
Okay, now we're talking. I'm all about natural ways to support my health.
Right, me too.
So what kind of things are we talking about here?
So some of them, you might be familiar with: apple cider vinegar,
Yep.
digestive enzymes, oregano oil, peppermint oil,
Okay.
aloe vera gel. They're all in there.
Those are like pantry staples.
Exactly, exactly. But then there's this one suggestion.
Okay.
It's kind of a specific blend of seeds,
Okay.
flax, chia, sesame, and have you ever heard of Nigella sativa?
I've heard of it. I can't say I've ever tried it, though.
Yeah. So Nigella sativa, they suggest preparing that with boiling water or get this bone broth.
Really?
They claim that the bone broth enhances the energetic properties of the seeds. Wow. Okay, kind of maximizing their benefits for digestion.
Bone broth with seeds. That's like a whole world.
Right.
Haven't even.
A whole other level
Yeah.
of culinary combinations.
It is. And, it's interesting they talk about that because bone broth in and of itself is supposed to be so good for your gut.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's incredibly nourishing.
Right.
And I think the message here, beyond just the specifics of each ingredient,
Yeah.
is that even with a really healthy diet, sometimes we just need a little extra support.
Yeah. It's like giving your body the tools it needs
Exactly.
to really thrive.
Yeah, to thrive, not just survive.
I love that. Okay, I have to ask about colon cleansing
Okay.
because the source seems to be pretty passionate about that.
Yeah, it presents it as kind of this key piece of the puzzle when it comes to digestive health.
Okay.
And specifically, they recommend colon hydrotherapy with ozone.
Now, for those of us who are not familiar, what is colon hydrotherapy?
Of course. So in essence, it's a procedure that involves flushing the colon with water to remove waste and buildup.
Right.
And adding ozone to this water is thought to further support gut health by kind of eliminating toxins more effectively.
So it's like a deep clean
Exactly.
for your colon, which goes back to that internal cleanliness.
Yes, exactly. It all kind of ties together.
Now, I have to admit, that's not something I would just run out and try
Right.
without talking to my doctor first.
Absolutely. And the source does emphasize the importance of replenishing your gut with probiotics after a cleanse like that.
So it's about hitting the reset button, but also setting the stage for this healthier microbiome.
Exactly. It's about creating that really thriving ecosystem in your gut.
Right. But here's where the source, it kind of takes a turn, I think, beyond just the physical aspects of digestion.
Okay.
It starts to emphasize things like exercise and stress management
Right.
and even mindful breathing.
Yeah, it all comes back to that mind-body connection
It does.
that we talked about at the beginning,
It
right?
really does.
So it stresses that true digestive health, it's not just about what you eat. It's about cultivating a lifestyle that really supports your body's natural ability to thrive.
So it's a holistic approach, addressing the whole person.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what's so fascinating about this source, right? It helps us to understand how all these elements,
Mm.
our diet, our stress levels, even how we breathe, all play a role in our overall digestive health.
It's like a light bulb moment.
Right.
We have so much more control over our digestion than we realize.
We really do.
It's almost like empowering in a way.
Yeah.
You know, we think about digestion as this like passive process,
Right.
but we actually have a lot more agency than we realize.
Yeah, I agree. It reminds us that we're not just these passive bystanders in our own bodies.
Right.
We have the power to really influence our digestive health through the choices that we're making.
Right.
You know, about what we eat, how we manage our stress, even how we breathe. You know, it's about really tuning in to those internal cues
Right.
and making choices that support us.
It's like, you know that old saying, you are what you eat?
Right.
But it's even more than that.
It's so much more than that.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's more like you are what you eat and think and feel and how you move your body, right?
Yeah.
It's this recognition that true health, it's a reflection of our overall lifestyle,
Yeah.
not just this one isolated aspect.
That's such an important takeaway, I think.
It is.
You know, from this deep dive. So much to think about. Definitely some things I want to like discuss with my doctor.
Yeah.
What about you? What resonated most with you from all of this?
You know, for me, it's really the source's balanced approach
Yeah.
that I find so compelling. You know, it doesn't reject modern science
Right.
or traditional wisdom,
Right.
but it kind of weaves them together
Right.
to create this, I think, more holistic
Yeah.
and, dare I say, effective approach
Yeah.
to digestive wellness.
I totally agree. And that's what I love so much about these deep dives. You
Yeah.
know, it's like we uncover these hidden connections. Yeah.
Rediscovering this ancient wisdom and, you know,
Yeah.
bringing it into our modern lives.
Exactly. And when it comes to our health,
Yeah.
knowledge is power.
Right.
The more we understand how these bodies work, the better equipped we are to make choices that support us.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, listener, if anything from this deep dive sparked your curiosity,
Yeah.
don't let that feeling fade. You
Yeah.
know, do a little digging of your own.
Yeah, explore.
Explore other perspectives, you know,
Mhm.
chat with your doctor.
Right.
And most importantly, listen to your body.
Yes. Your gut is your guide. It's always sending you signals.
Yep.
Learn to interpret them,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to make choices that
Amazing.
lead to a happier, healthier you.
Well, that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of digestive health. Until next time, be well and keep exploring.